Hey guys, so today I have a double Holo Taco swatch video with the two newest collections, Off the Deep End and Cottagecore. Starting out with the Off the Deep End collection, there are 6 polishes here altogether. They are jelly bases with iridescent flakies. These are available right now, so I will link the Holo Taco website down below. I will also have comparisons after each individual collection. 6 polishes here altogether, and let's get into it. So first off, these are the boxes that the regular Holo Taco collection polishes come in. Sometimes there can be different boxes for special editions, but these are the standard ones. The first polish is called What a Catch, and this is described as iridescent flakies in a bright pink jelly base with light green scattered reflective glitter. A bit sheer here on the first coat. Good formula though, and good amount of flakies. The flakies have a really nice contrasting glow to them against that pink base. I did have a little bit of an issue with the flakies, wanted to swipe right back off of my nail on this first coat, but I think pretty much any base coat would lay down a sticky enough base that wouldn't be an issue. This covered surprisingly well for me in 2 coats. I was not expecting this kind of coverage with how sheer it had been in the first coat. I could see a little teeny tiny bit of nail line from some angles here, but I didn't think it was enough to worry about a 3rd coat. So 2 or 3 coats, just depending on your preference, but for me that is 2 coats of What a Catch on its own and with matte top coat. The next polish is called Made Me Ink, and this is described as iridescent flakies in an indigo jelly base with silver scattered reflective glitter. Good formula on this one as well, a bit sheer also. I did find that these flakies stayed put a little better over my bare nail on that first coat than the previous polish. A little bit uneven in that jelly base on the first coat, but nothing too concerning. This one built up really nicely in 2 coats as well. Again, I had the tiniest bit of nail line showing, but it wasn't enough for me to really worry about a 3rd coat. And you might occasionally have to tap some of those flakies back into place on the end of your nail just because they can stick out a little. So that is 2 coats of Made Me Ink on its own and with matte top coat. The next polish is called Big Reef Energy, and this is described as a coral red jelly base with iridescent flakies and gold scattered reflective glitter. Good formula on this one as well. It's got a good amount of flakies in it without feeling too thick on the nail. This one is a bit sheer on the first coat, but overall a very saturated jelly base, and the base is also very even. This one also built up beautifully on that 2nd coat with a good amount of flakies. I feel like with no flakies, you probably could have seen some nail line here, but it's so busy with this rainbow of flakies that's mixed in, it was impossible to pick out. I did find myself having to repeatedly put polish back in the bottle with this one though. It felt like I always had a little bit too much on my brush. So that is 2 coats of Big Reef Energy on its own and with matte top coat. The next polish is called Wait a Minute, and this is described as iridescent flakies in a teal aqua jelly base. Great formula on this one as well. A bit sheer on the first coat. The base is very even and there's a good amount of flakies in here as well. This one also covered really nicely for me in 2 coats. Again, I had a little bit of nail line showing. This one was really borderline. I could see myself doing 3 coats of this just in a different mood on a different day. So I would say 2 or 3 just depending on your application. So that is 2 coats of Wait a Minute on its own and with matte top coat. The next polish is called Crashing Out, and this is described as iridescent flakies in a royal blue jelly base with silver scattered holographic glitter. Great formula on this one. I love the colors of the flakies in here as well. A little sheer and a little bit uneven on that first coat, but again, nothing too concerning. And I did push the flakies around a little bit. This covered easily for me in 2 coats. The flakies stand out really nicely under that darker jelly base. And because I haven't mentioned it yet, the flakies will be relatively easy to remove, but there will be a little bit of texture from them, and overall the polish dries a little dull, so you will want top coat. So that is 2 coats of Crashing Out on its own and with matte top coat. And the last polish for this collection is Dopey Jelly. This is described as iridescent flakies in a magenta purple jelly base with silver scattered reflective glitter. Good formula on this one. Flakies come out really nicely. Again, I love those rainbow iridescent flakies. This is definitely the most sheer out of the entire collection though. Built well in 2 coats. I did do a little bit of dabbing here just to distribute those flakies better, but this was the only one. Now, again, Wait a Minute was questionable, but this was the only one that I really felt like I needed a 3rd coat. Not so much for the nail line, but just to get a better overall color, which I did get with the 3rd coat here. And you can see with 3 coats, it's absolutely packed with flakies. So that is 3 coats of Don't Be Jelly on its own and with matte top coat. So to start, I have nothing for these three. This is Don't Be Jelly, Wait a Minute, and Big Reef Energy. My Holo Taco collection is not super extensive, so I don't have a lot that have these kind of iridescent flakies in them, which was kind of my parameter. And for my comparisons, at least the first round, I like to stick within the same brand, and then I'm always open to suggestions if there's other polishes that you want to see together. Let me know and I will do that in some kind of short form content, but these three I didn't have anything close enough to compare to. So starting out here with What a Catch. I really can't get this at a good angle for you to see how glowy those orange, pink, gold flakies are in here. This one is deeply superficial. This is a much darker, more purpley pink shade, where this is a much lighter, like not neon, but it's kind of in that direction pink, and the flakies are just totally different. This is the only thing I had that had any kind of pinky base with iridescent flakies, so that's why I grabbed it, but nothing super comparable. So for this one, I actually put Made Me Ink here and Crashing Out next to each other because I felt like they should also be compared. You can see where Made Me Ink leans a bit more of that purpley indigo and Crashing Out is much more blue, where Made Me Ink has the green to blue iridescent flakies and Crashing Out has a bit more of a rainbow mix of flakies. Again, really not showing well on the camera. And then these two are the same. This is Simply Chaotic, which again is the only dark bluey purple shade that I had with iridescent flakies in it, but it's much darker, less obvious, less intense flakies. Really nothing comparable there either. Crashing Out is definitely my favorite here, although I probably could have picked Don't Be Jelly as well, but Crashing Out I got away with 2 coats, so that makes me like it a little bit more. But I really like the base color and the rainbow iridescent flakies that are in here, and also really liked it with matte top coat. Now moving on to the Cottagecore collection. This is a 7-piece collection, 6 creams and a flower glitter topper, like chunky flower glitter topper. This is also available right now, so again, I will link the Holo Taco website down below, and I'll get into the swatches for this one. The first polish is called Rosemary Kill, and this is described as a pale neutral pink. Good formula on this one, good coverage, a little bit uneven, but mostly just over those big ridges that I have on my nails that are always a problem. This covered completely in 2 coats. It covered all of those uneven spots that I had, and it leveled out really nicely as well. So that is 2 coats of Rosemary Kill. The next polish is called Garden Party Taco. This is a topper. This has pink and silver scattered reflective glitters, iridescent purple glitters, pink scattered holographic, and pearly white flower-shaped glitters. So I'm swatching this over Rosemary Kill. You can see with just normal swiping that I only get that one flower out. These chunkier glitter toppers do take a little bit of extra technique. So I get my base down with all of those smaller glitters in it, then I swirl the brush around in the bottle, grab an orange stick, and pick up the flower glitters separately and just place them on the nail where I want them. I find this works better than trying to get the flower glitters out with the brush. When you use the brush to try to get those flower glitters on, or really any chunky glitter, you can sometimes end up with way too much polish base and just too thick of a coat. And obviously you will need a good thick top coat to smooth this out. So that is 1 coat of Garden Party Taco. The next polish is called Wild Child, which is described as a muted lavender purple. Again, great formula, great coverage. It applies really smoothly and evens out really nicely. I just had a few very minor uneven spots on that first coat. The second coat covered everything completely and smoothed out. I do feel like this dried just a little bit darker than when it was wet. So that is 2 coats of Wild Child on its own and with Garden Party Taco. The next polish is called Time After Time, and this is described as a pale, cool sage green. Good formula on this one. I feel like there's a little less coverage here on the first coat than the previous polishes, almost leaning a little crelly, but not quite that sheer. So it's a little bit uneven on that first coat. The second coat covered completely and evened everything out. I do feel like this one also dried just a little bit darker than when it was wet. So that is 2 coats of Time After Time on its own and with Garden Party Taco. The next polish is called Skipping Stones, and this is described as a pale, cool baby blue. The formula here is okay. It's not bad, and it's still a 2-coat polish, spoiler, but it's not like wowing me. It still felt a bit sheer and crelly compared to the previous polishes, so it is a bit uneven here on the first coat. But after all of that complaining and a little bit of a rougher first coat, it did still even out and cover completely for me in 2 coats. So that is 2 coats of Skipping Stones on its own and with Garden Party Taco. The next polish is called Nip in the Bud, and this is described as a muted rose pink. Great formula on this one, great coverage. It applied really smoothly and cleanly and leveled itself out really nicely. Not quite a 1-coater because there are a couple little flaws, but very close. Covered completely for me in 2 coats, not surprising, and it did also dry a little bit darker than when it was wet. So that is 2 coats of Nip in the Bud on its own and with Garden Party Taco. And the last polish is called Touch Grass, and this is described as a cool grass green. A little bit thinner formula here than previous polishes, not bad, just noticeably a little bit thinner. Also a little bit uneven, but again, not concerning. This covered easily for me in 2 coats, and again, it dries a little bit darker than it is when it's wet. So that is 2 coats of Touch Grass on its own and with Garden Party Taco. Okay, so first things first, obviously don't have a dupe for Garden Party Taco or anything to compare it to really, because it has a very unique, chunky flower glitter in it. Flower glitters are not a new thing in general, but I don't have anything from Holo Taco that's comparable to this, and I actually don't know if I have anything in general that is super comparable to this anyway, so we just left this one out. So for the next ones, I took Touch Grass and Time After Time and stuck them together on the same wheel because I feel like if they were in different collections, I would be comparing them, so I just did it together. So we have Touch Grass here and Time After Time here. Again, Touch Grass, Time After Time. So I feel like Touch Grass is kind of just a lighter version of Time After Time. They are both like dusty, cool, sagey, green-blue shades. This is David's Teal. This is obviously brighter and teal, so no comparison there. This is Modest Moss. This is green, much more green, true green, not this like dusty kind of blue-gray green, and darker. And then this one here is Crime and Punishment, which is obviously a light, I wouldn't call this a mint green, but it's a very, very light pastel green shade. So nothing close there. Okay, so for Wild Child right here in the middle, this is that very dusty gray, kind of muted purple shade that you see kind of in that post-Christmas, pre-spring slump. These are the kind of colors that come out at this time of year. This first one here is Work Bestie. This is a deeper, darker, redder purple, and this one is Feeling Fiendish. Again, close, deeper, darker, warmer. Nothing really close there. Okay, Nip in the Bud here in the middle, beautiful dusty rose pink shade. This one is Ginger Snatched, very brown, not close. And this one is Low Key Blushing, which is warmer and almost a little bit more orange than pink when you stick the two together, so nothing really close there either. Rosemary Kill in the middle here, very soft, very muted, dusty, light pink. I feel like I should stick these two together so you can see here. This is Nip in the Bud and this is Rosemary Kill. So starting here with Sweet Tooth, very light, classic pastel pink. So both light shades of pink, but Rosemary Kill actually almost looks purple in comparison because it has that like dusty quality to it. And then this is Pinky Swear, which is really just a darker version of Sweet Tooth. So again, nothing close here. And lastly, we have Skipping Stones, which is this beautiful kind of raindrop gray-blue shade. This one here is Too Good to Be Blue. It is much more vibrant blue. Doesn't have that dusty gray quality to it. This one here is Perisocial, which is very purple, periwinkle, but looks very purple next to all of these. So actually, if I had taken this one out, I would have argued that this has a slight more purple quality to it, but with these two together, I'm not going to say that. I love a good sage green, so Touch Grass is going to be my favorite. I do think I usually prefer it like winter, like post-Christmas winter, maybe January, but I do still love the color. So those are the 2 newest collections from Holo Taco. Again, I will link the Holo Taco website down below where you guys can check those out. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.